Shout out Eastwood's podcast.
What's up, people? Welcome back to Clip Review. Got a very special guest today, Mr. Steve, dead on arrival. Also, what's the name of it?
PODUS APERANDI.
PODUS APERANDI. I can't even pronounce it. Yeah, new episode out. Fellow podcast there, the GOAT, dead on arrival. I mean, fucking fantastic.
Thank you.
Love that company. I love the graphic that you did with the old Nike shoe.
Yes, the EQ.
That shit was so good. I loved that shoe when it came out. I just never got it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I remember it just didn't work right.
Yeah,
I thought it was like super slick, but
Yeah.
that was John Devine's board. He wanted that. I was like, I'm gonna do shoes. I want to do skate shoes. Like, I want the EQ. And I'm like, seriously want the EQ? And he was like, yeah.
Hell
all right.
yeah.
But that was everybody's favorite.
I remember seeing that shoe and I thought the same thing. I was like, these probably don't work, but they look sick. And then I missed my opportunity to get them. So then when I saw that you put it on a board, I was like, hell yeah.
Awesome.
Shout out John Devine. Sick. And as always, thank you to Manitow Coffee, Rad, for the mugs to keep the coffee in. And thank you, Steve. Steve just hooked me up with some bearings.
Here we go.
Right, going fast.
What are
Appreciate
those?
ya.
Super Reds? What are those? What the hell they call them? I don't even know. Super. Here we got here. Yeah, Super Reds.
Sick.
That's like, I think, the high-end Reds.
They're so sick, yeah. They're like foreign too. They're like rare as hell. Yeah, so first question right off the bat. What year did you start skating?
89.
89. That was the year I was born. Let's
Wow,
get it.
that's pretty crazy.
Hell
It's,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, 89. That's when I had a board. My dad took me to get a board. I think my one Christmas, maybe in like 87 or something, one of my aunt and uncle, they got me a board. It was like a banana board. And it didn't roll or anything. So I was like, oh, cool. And you try and roll around on it. And it was nothing. And then I remember wanting to skate. And I remember like my dad would buy me like a Tony Hawk t-shirt. But they wouldn't buy me a board. Like, they were like, oh, you're too young to skateboard. So I was a poser. Like I'd go to school with a skate shirt. And the other skate, kids were bored. Fucking poser,
Yeah.
And but yeah, 89 first board, and it was a Tony Hawk with the Indy Cross and the skull.
So sick.
Yeah, like super. I saw it in a Sports Illustrated for kids. So when I went there, I was like, and there were so many other cool boards, but that was the one I knew from Sports Illustrated for kids. So I was like, I want that one, and I blew it. Like there was like Jason Jesse, like he sucks, but like there's Jason Jesse with like the Captain Neptune. And there's so many better boards, and I was like, no, I want that. And I remember the guy at the place was it was in Mineola. I think it was Mineola Bike. I think was the place. Need Theo to like fact check this, but I remember going there and the guy's like, "Oh, you need a nose guard and a tail guard." And I was like, "I don't want that." And my dad was like, "You got to get it." So I talked him out of the nose guard.
Nose guard.
Yeah, the nose guard he let me not get. The tail guard he made me get. We had to go back like a day later for assembly. Like they're like, "All right, it'll be assembled. It'll be ready tomorrow." Like so crazy.
That is crazy.
And,
That's
I remember
sick.
going back to get it, and I skated around like up and down my block for a little bit, and I fell, and the board was like full dip, and it fell and hit the curb and paint chipped, and I was scared. I was like, and I put it away in the closet for like 6 months.
Damn.
And then 6 months later, like saw it in there, and I was like, I want to, and then from there I just couldn't stop. But
Do you still have that board?
No.
Damn, that would be
I'm
sick.
horrible.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I like have some rare shit for like years, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna sell it on eBay, and then I sell it, and I like make like $100, and I'm like, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
Yeah.
And hunting stuff down, but yeah.
So, bonus question. I see that you're rocking A6. What's going on with that?
Nothing. Dude, Rob, who runs it's really cool. He used to have a brand called Side Effect, and it was a clothing brand. And it was like super old world industries theme. And I remember just like seeing it randomly. Labor posted it. I think Labor, actually it was Labor had like a sweatshirt or something that posted. And I was like, this is so sick. And I went and bought it. And I just like tagged him on something like from when Dead on Arrival, when I, doing that, I just posted. I just thought it was so cool. And I was like, oh, just got this, blah, 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 that Side Effect or whatever. And the dude Rob's like, oh, thanks. And I guess he started checking out my page. And it's like, oh, we're kind of like on the same same page with like our mentality of skating. And so we started talking, and just really cool. And he's just a cool dude. And it's funny. So randomly one day he's like, this was before I knew there was like an ASICS skate program.
I had no idea until I saw your page. I was like, ASICS makes skate shoes? Like, I was like,
Yeah.
damn, they look fire.
Well, I didn't know. I knew they had a Japanese like division of it, whatever. And from when I used to do Northern, one of our dudes, Matt Town, only wore ASICS.
Oh,
So
hell yeah.
just randomly funny.
I remember Northern. Northern was sick.
Yeah, and Matt Town, one dude, only wore ASICS. That was it. It was like the coolest thing about him. Only wore those. And I remember we tried to like, off topic here, but we tried to get him on. Like, he used to film with Mandible Claw, so I used to do that. Colin Reed makes the best videos. Used to. But he was like, yeah, we got to get Matt on ASICS. I remember like finding like an email address online and like sending like an email, and nothing happened. You know, it probably went to like spam folder or something. But anyway, long story short, comes back and Rob's like, what size shoe are you? And I'm like, 9. You know, and I'm like, hope this dude doesn't work for like Ed or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's a nice dude. I don't want to like. And then all of a sudden, like, I get a box from ASICS, and I was like, oh shit, this is so cool. He sent me some samples, and it's here or there. It's not like a set thing. I just really like the shoes. Like, it's kind of cool. It's small. It reminds me of when Action was around.
Yeah.
It's not like Action wasn't corporate like that. Like, ASICS is still a big brand, but it's like it's kind of small. They're doing it super. It's super tiny.
Yeah.
And it's just like they almost piece together these dudes who weren't on things or like on flow and like super underground dudes. So I think it's cool. It has that kind of like not everybody has it kind of feel yet. Eventually I hope it gets there where they get huge and do whatever. But
Yeah, I like them. I think they look so sick. And
yeah, they're
definitely
like
when I'm in the next pickup, I'm gonna definitely look into them for sure.
it's hard too though because it's like there's none out here on the island.
Yeah.
And I've told them like Rob Bunger, like
Yeah.
get them in Bunger, but they're just so small and like people have told me like they'll hit them up because all of a sudden people hit me up like how do I get shoes in my shop? I'm like I don't know, I have nothing to do with it. Like, but people told me like yeah they just don't have the shoes to even like it's super small.
Yeah.
So,
I think they're probably like testing the market because like New Balance, Adidas, Nike are like all titans in the game now, and I feel like ASICS is like maybe we can get in on it.
yeah, Rob used to work for Nike SB, like so.
Yeah.
I think he's like I don't want to say marketing. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I mean, we've never even really had this conversation, but he knows what he's doing, and it's kind of like make it exclusive, keep it small,
Yeah.
and you don't want to just saturate the market with it first shot. Like
True.
things are when you can't get something, it's kind of cooler.
Yeah.
So when you have to
100%.
go a little bit to get it, I think it still has that appeal, that excitement.
Yeah.
So
Like Nike SB when they first came out, they were
Yeah.
like hard to get, and they put like who was it? Like Danny Supa was on.
well, think about this. So
Yeah.
it was Gino,
Gino.
you had Reese Forbes, and Richard Mulder.
Yeah.
So that was your first 4, and then with ASICS, you got Gino, Brent Ashley. So you have these underground dudes, like same thing. Like those weren't like superstar Gino. I mean, they're big names, but they weren't like it wasn't like Nigel's on to start this.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was more like skaters to start it. So
I
yeah,
love that. I like that a lot. That's
Yeah.
like what I look for.
definitely.
Sick. So. What else we got? So with that said, '89 you started skating.
Yeah.
Right, and then fast forward 2023. I already know the answer. I think. Would you prefer the old days or like the new age skating?
I'm very lucky to have seen the old days. It was just a different time. I mean, even like going back, like mid '90s, late '90s, that was like my favorite time, I guess.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite time. But like the early '90s, like '92, like it was definitely an ugly era of skating. But
Yeah.
nobody skated, so it was like, I don't know. When you went to school, how many kids skated in your school?
It's not many. I was like one of the first.
Okay.
You know.
So it was like, because it was like that where you had one kid maybe in like every third town skated, and that was it.
Yeah.
Maybe you had one friend in your school, So people would meet up at spots like they used to go to Lynbrook train station. I missed that. I remember going to TOV, and that was like where everybody would meet. There was a spot in Huntington at Wallbounds, but that was it. Like it was one kid from everywhere, and they would just kind of congregate.
Yeah.
So that was cool that you skated because you loved it. You didn't skate because it was cool, or you get picked on for skating.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
Throughout high school for me too. You know,
Yeah.
like going through high school, everybody's like, "Oh, he's like the weird skater," but like now Little Wayne skates. You know,
It's crazy because
Right.
now it is like these kids skate and they're like cool,
Yeah,
and it's like, man, we got beat
and
up for it.
athletic.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's like the sports kids skate now because
Yeah.
that's acceptable. I remember when I was in school. So going into middle school, I want to say 8th grade, leaving 8th grade to 9th grade, I remember there was like 3 or 4 kids who skated. And then when we went to high school, it was just me. And I
Yeah,
was like, what, you guys all quit? And they're like, yeah, you can't talk to girls if you skate. Like, you can't, in high school, they'll make fun of you. Like, we heard from the older kids, so if we don't skate, it's like, fuck.
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, but it's so much fun. You guys, but
For me, like, I said it with Rixmo, like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 came out, and then like I was already dabbling before that, just
Mhm.
playing around like kid stuff, but then like that video game came out, and I was like changed my whole world. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And at the same time, Tony Hawk did the 900. That was like a big deal in the news, so that kind of kicked it off. But even after that, like years after that, all throughout high school and stuff, like minimal, like it wasn't like skateboarding was accepted. It was like, like there was the football players, the lacrosse players, and then like the skateboarders or like BMX kids, and we'd all kind of mingle. And yeah, it's crazy how it is now. Like,
yeah, it's totally different.
yeah,
Like, it is funny. And then it's like, even in the fashion, there's that whole thing,
Yep.
and it's like,
Louis Vuitton.
yeah, it's so crazy. It's
Crazy.
Like, I remember there was no, like, skating in a movie. I remember it was like Police Academy 4. They were skating, and it was like, oh my God, they're skating. There was Gleaming the Cube. Like, yeah, there was a movie, and, Crash and whatever. Back to the Future, like, that was
Yeah.
85. But, like, there was no skating. Like, if you saw skating on TV, it was just like, oh my God. Like, there was nothing. It was like, you
Yeah.
don't see it.
I used to get so hyped as a kid to see anything skateboarding related on TV or a movie. I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I'd like go home and, like watch 10 skate videos and feel, be like, wow.
Yeah, it was. Do you remember
Love this.
Kids?
Yes.
The movie, but when that came out, I remember it was like, because my friends and I, we'd go to the city every weekend, and it was like, kids, and all these city kids, like, we wanted to see, like, I know who that is, I know who that is. It was pretty cool. But it was like, wow, it's skaters. Like, these are skaters.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
That movie, I like that movie, but it's like the plot kind of gets to me at the end.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see like Harold and everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're
like,
oh, this is so sick.
yeah, because like even when they're like,
Feel like
they
it
go to
aids.
the what it was it? It was supposed to be the tunnel. I think they called it something else. It was like the club thing, and like yeah, I don't care about that. I just want to see these dudes skating around.
Yeah.
And shitting. That was more exciting than.
That movie was sick, but for that reason.
Yeah.
So. All right, coffee. You drink coffee?
I do. I'm like a shitty 7-Eleven in the morning kind of guy.
Yeah. Do you go cream sugar?
No, maybe whole milk and stevia.
Okay.
Soft.
Stevia's
I'm
good.
trying to limit sugar.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah,
So-
I've been trying to do that too, but sometimes
No, I wish it's definitely better.
Yeah.
It would be milk and sugar.
Yeah.
If I
Okay.
wanted to. But,
Cool.
I just lost some street cred there.
Nah,
Stevia.
it's all good. Stevia is legit.
It's okay. It's like an acquired.
Stevia actually comes from a plant. I didn't know
Yeah.
that until like I saw a stevia plant. Like my cousin had a stevia plant, and I was just like, he's showing me like his garden. He's like tomatoes, hot peppers, and then he's like stevia, and I was like the fake sugar. I thought that was like chemicals, and they're like, he's like, nah, it comes from a plant. Same thing with what's that stuff? The stuff that keeps the mosquitoes away.
DEET?
No,
That stuff will kill you.
the candles,
Oh,
citronella.
citronella.
So I was at Walmart the other day, and they had a citronella plant, and I was like, I thought this was chemicals the whole time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I have one. That plant outside
Oh,
is
nice.
actually a
Does it
citronella.
work?
Yeah, a little bit. It smells like it, which is crazy.
Awesome.
So, what's your fondest memory from from skating for all these years?
Like actually skating?
or just in general? Like, what is
mean-
your favorite memory from the 90s
I mean,
recently?
Jesus Christ. I remember. All right.
90s
memories.
must have
But I
been
can tell you
crazy.
some memories. I remember going to. There was a shop in. Do you remember Blades?
I
But there was a
haven't
skate shop.
been
So you
there,
had on
but I heard the
Broadway in the
name.
city. There was Blades. You had Supreme. There was Pro Sports New York was one. But I remember they had a girl demo in front of Blades, and Mike Carroll messed up on like 3 kickflips and didn't.
Yeah,
So that was pretty awesome. Just, like it's nice to see they're human.
yeah.
So I'll never forget that one. But guess. Yeah, shit. As far as like, it was pretty crazy. Like, do you ever hear of John Coppola?
Yes.
Okay, so like watching him skate, like that was my first, like, actual being in contact with somebody who was like had it. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
God-given ability, like where they could do whatever. So that was always amazing. Like just wouldn't miss a trick. Like I remember going to Nassau with him. We're gonna go to Nassau rally. Like, yeah, cool. And on somebody his friend's board, because he never wanted to scratch his board. So he took his friend's board, you know, it was like 50-50, lip slide, no slide in like 5 minutes.
That's crazy.
And this is going back, yeah, like 95.
Was it the 10
10
set?
set, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that was pretty cool. You know, there's traveling and stuff like that. Stuff's always cool. Meeting people, going to the cities when like Newport was bumping, like your favorite video, photosynthesis, like around that time.
Yeah.
We went. This was a pretty cool one too. So Papalardo was like in our friend group, you know. He was, I remember seeing him just like, this kid's so good. Like, come skate with us, you know. And we used to bring him around. But I remember when he was on workshop, so he had to get footage, and we ended up with him and it was Fat Bill and Jason Dill.
Sick.
So there's this one. It was crazy. Like now we're seeing. We don't ever see, like, we would just film ourselves and, you know, whatever. Like now we're seeing like real deal. Like this is real pros filming. And remember we were kind of by fucking NYU.
Oh, okay.
So there's a trick in Dill's part, and he ollies. It's really random, but he ollies these like on the street, and it's these sheet metal sheets. It's like a quick thing. I think he has a hoodie with no sleeves on or something, but he just ollies like on the sheet metal in the street and ollies over to another sheet. Like it's super quick. It goes by, but I remember seeing that when he filmed it, and I was just like, I didn't even see this in my head. Like I couldn't comprehend that was a spot.
Yeah.
You know, and to see it, and it was like, whoa, that was really cool.
That's sick.
Yeah. And I remember he was trying to get a trick at NYU. It was like this bench to a drop, and he was trying to like nose manual doing a line. And I remember we were sitting like too close to where. Don't get out of the background. I remember Fat Bill yelling at us, like, you guys can't be in the background.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like production. But that was really cool because on Long Island you don't get to see that. You know.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then just the Seaport, like just seeing all those people every day, like how good everybody was.
Yeah.
You know.
Papalardo's, like, that's one of my favorite parts of photosynthesis.
Yeah. So sick, and he was so dedicated at the time. Like, and it was funny too because like he kind of we'd still go out, but we were already like, you know, I got to film with these dudes. I got to do this with these dudes, which I get.
Yeah.
Like you don't, you know, you got to get your A game going and, you know, be with people on your level. That's how you're going to progress.
So sick.
But yeah, he was like a warrior. Like him, Wenning. Like watching Wenning's progression too, from when Wenning was just like some kid who looked homeless, wasn't on anything, and like going to the banks by himself, like board destroyed, like pointed nose because it's all chipped up, and he would just like by himself, you know, skate the 9. Crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing that, and then
his part's like my favorite too. Like that nose grind that he does at Love Park, and he just like doesn't move the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-foot like ledge.
It was wild. So when they started doing that too, and I remember Wenning would bring his friends from New Jersey, and they were all super good, but they all skated like really weird. They all had the hunch, all do backside nose grind, pop out. It was so good. Like all had workshop gear and DCs, like his whole kit. Like
Yeah.
So it was crazy. I was like, oh my god, these dudes are so good. But it was like 50 Wenning clones.
Yeah.
Bring them with them, and they were all amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that stuff was pretty cool.
Papalardo's from like Smithtown, right, or something
He was
like
from
that.
Massapequa.
Massapequa.
Massapequa, yeah, I want to say.
I never knew like when I was in like 5th grade and I first started skating after Tony Hawk. So like I skated with my next door neighbor. That was like it, and my neighbor down the block. And then up the road was a Walmart, and we heard that kids, like older kids, skated there. So we would go there, and like the leader of the crew, my friend Chris, he's a couple years older than me, was like, he skated with Papalardo before, and this is like 99, 2000, you know, and I remember being like, wow, you know, and Peter Smolik was like his good friend too, and before, you know, like basically right before he was on Shorties at that time, so like he was like in touch with Peter Smolik, and I remember like looking up to him so much and being like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, those dudes, like that's the type of skating I like too. Is like I had the question with Ricky, you know, and he was kind of in the same boat as me. Like I just watched like so much old stuff like from the 90s, like just over and over a million times, and I just study it. just because it's like it's so dope to me, like the style. Like nowadays, I'm not bashing anybody's like crazy tricks because people do crazy shit nowadays. But it's like there was, like you said, they made it look human. Like nowadays it's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah,
a
now
little
it's like there's
crazy.
that superstar. Like I can't even back then I never like these dudes who were like Costin. I was never a Costin fan.
Yeah,
Not saying he's an amazing skater, but I was never a fan. I could never get into it because it's like before the part's on, and if you told me like Costin did, backside nose blunt hubba, right? And it's like, yeah, of course he did. Like I didn't
yeah.
even have to see the video to know he could do it. I don't really.
He was like, for me, he was like the first superhuman skater. Like I
Yep.
saw like his like God, what part it was. I saw one of his like parts for the first time, and I was like ridiculous. But that's when and like even though Costin's from here, I feel like S Menikmati. It's like they started showing like that video. They had skaters from around the world, and like seeing like nowadays Instagram, everybody knows everybody from all around the
Hmm.
world, and seeing what they're up to. And I remember like Menikmati is like Rodrigo is like just killing it, and just seeing that different level was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like photosynthesis was like mostly Love Park. So I was like, all right, I live kind of near Pennsylvania, and like I could relate.
And photosynthesis was more.
And the city.
It was better, more style based, if that makes sense. Where
Yeah,
Menikmati was more tricks,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
definitely.
Which there was parts in that were still cool,
Yeah,
but it was like different, like yeah, photosynthesis. Everything looked cool. East Coast had that rugged feel. No, those spots aren't perfect.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was great. Um, yeah, like Bob Burnquist part in Menikmati was like ridiculous, like stuff like that. But yeah. What else? You got anybody that you want to shout out?
sure. I'll start with Mikey at Mini Logo, random one, but Mikey's the best. So funny. So I like mellow kickboards. Like I've always had this thing, mellow kickboards. I used to always ride like blind boards, 101 boards back in the day, like super mellow. So it's funny, and my friend Benson was like, "Try this Mini Logo." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not riding a Mini Logo." And he's like, "No, no, no, trust me, try it. You're gonna like it." And he sent me one, just that he had a stash of them. He sent me one, and I was like, "This board's amazing." And it's funny because Mitch, who I do the podcast with, shout out
Yeah.
Mitch Hartman.
Shot Mitch.
Here we go, Mitch. Gotcha. Uh, he's like, "Oh, I'm friends with the brand manager for Mini Logo." He's like, "We could have him on the podcast," And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like that sounds interesting. Like I could, And Mikey came on. He's real cool. And I was just kind of met him here and there, and then it was like, if you need any help with your anything, like let me know. And I was kind of like, "You ever need help with social media or something?" Seems like, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm swamped." So he does everything there. He's brand manager, so it's like
Yeah,
budgeting and all this shit. And he was just like, "Yeah, you'll help me with that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, I can tone it down. I don't have to be myself on it. Like I can just, treat it like a job. And so he's like, "All right, cool." So I do that. So send me a couple boards here and there, which is awesome.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really cool. Um, so yeah, thanks, Mikey. And then yeah, I guess Blair Alley at Transworld for giving Mitch and I a chance to do the podcast over there because that was random.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. That's like recent, right?
That's pretty
Transfer.
recent, yeah, and that was like out of nowhere because I started with Mitch and I. Well, we picked up the podcast again. I want to say it was like in January. I think it was late December. I just started posting stuff. I wanted to post stuff on YouTube again after like when I was doing D.O.A. It was just like edits and whatnot. And I remember like did a couple podcasts with Mitch, and we put them up there just randomly, like nothing crazy. Like it was just like, hey, we'll fuck around and do a little podcast
Yeah,
here and there. And I remember stopping doing it, and I was like, you know what? Let me fuck around on YouTube. Like, I was at work, and there's this YouTube account called Famous Criminals. It's not skating.
yeah.
It's this one dude, and I think I was watching like Angry Video Game Nerd. Did you ever watch that?
Yes.
The best.
Yeah.
So I was at work. It was like a slow day, and I'm sitting there watching it. And then this Famous Criminals thing's on the side. Let me just see what this is. And he like makes fun of the Island Boys and stuff.
Yeah.
Just stupid people like that he makes fun of. And I was like, this is so cool. I was like, this could work for skating. I wasn't a big podcast guy.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the Nine Club and stuff, but or even on YouTube. Like I remember my friend telling me I knew who Gifted Hater was, but I never watched it because my friend's like, oh, he's like a frog kid. And I was like, I don't know, watch some frog kid.
Yeah.
But I remember I do watch it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I remember I was like, all right, I want to do this podcast. Like maybe I could do like some stories. I started doing like top 10 lists. I was just like, I want to do it. I want to do it. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to sit down and do it. Like I'm not doing boards anymore, but I like the whole creative process. That's more fun to me than anything. So I was like,
Definitely.
I can do this. It's free. This is so cool. I don't have to hunt down 20 grand a fucking quarter in boards, pray and get paid back and break even. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can do this for free and make stuff when I want to. And so I started doing that. And then I was kind of like, Mitch, you want to do the podcast again? Like we should bring it back. And he was like, yeah, totally. Let's do it. All right. Awesome. And so we started doing that again. And, like the goal was like, I want to see if I can get monetized. I want to make money on it. I don't care. I just want to see if I can do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm going to give myself a year. And we hit that, I think 7 months in. I haven't even collected
Sick.
a check off it yet. Like you have to like get $100. So I'm not even there. It just kind of sits in a thing. And if you miss the cutoff for a month, you got to wait for another month. So.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not like it's funny. Like 2,500 view video is like you get like $10 or something. Like
That's still good though.
I guess for 4 days after work of editing, like I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like put it in perspective. I'm like, what am I doing? But it's fun.
Yeah.
And like with our channel too. So when Blair asked us, it was kind of like, do I have to? He's like, all right, cool. You guys want to do this? I'm like, well, are we gonna have to get rid of our channel? He was like, no, you can keep your channel. I was like, holy shit. All right, cool. And then it's just like, so he picks a topic, or we'll kind of brainstorm about something. And Transworld owns 411, so we try and keep it. I was kind of like, yeah, we should probably keep this Transworld, keep it in that wheelhouse. Use the assets that we have, doing that. So it's pretty cool.
I love it. I think it's so dope. And then I remember when you announced that you got picked up by Transworld, I was like, that's so sick,
Yeah, and it was super random. That's the thing. It was like, it's one of those things. Like, coolest thing about YouTube, you make a video or whatever, it's free. And you're just sitting there like it just we were seen, and it was like Blair's like, I love this podcast, because first we're like, well, Mitch and I too, we're like, he wants to be on it. Like, we should have him on our pod just to even see if this is gonna work, because you can't have people, no continuity or whatever. But it was cool. We had him on. And we're like, all right, Blair's a super nice dude. Cool. This will work.
Sick.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun.
I love the format that you do too. Like, you do it like through webcam, right? So like,
yeah.
One problem that I have is like, I got the space set up and like the mics and stuff, but it's like, it's hard getting people like out of state. Like a lot of my friends from out of state are like, oh, I want to be on the podcast. I'm like, well, you got to come to Long Island, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is.
It's hard. And as you keep doing this too, because when I used to do 500 Fahrenheit, did you ever hear that? You can say no, I won't get offended.
I don't think so.
So that was like around 2015, 2016. And when I started that, long story too with that. She said, I can go on for hours with this. I feel bad. It's like a half hour.
Nah, it's all good.
Here.
It's when the time runs out, we'll just restart
are we
it.
at 28 minutes?
Yeah. No worries.
Okay.
We'll just restart it. So.
All right. I could almost, because I could get into this.
I'm
sorry. Like,
we got it. No
do you
worries.
Mind?
Yeah, no, I don't mind.
Okay.
We got to watch the clip too and review it. Yeah.
You picked the clip out.
Yeah.
So how do you want to do this? Because we're at we got a minute and a half.
All right. So
we just run it out.
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Nah. Well. Hold on. I'll restart it.
All right. Sorry about that.
It's gonna be like a good one.
This is like a cakewalk for me. I don't have to edit. You get to do whatever. That's the worst part for me.
It's editing. Yeah. It's hard.
The editing sucks.
If you want, you can move that. Like if you want to lean back and move the mic, like this whole thing.
It moves.
Yeah.
I should be good here. This is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard, man. The editing's the worst part.
Editing is a lot.
Because I usually too, when I'm there and I'm like, I'm trying to get any of the likes, buts, as many as I can out. And I'm sitting there. So you go through, if it's 2 hours of audio, you have to listen to 2 hours of audio. Plus, finding all the stuff for it, all the photos and whatever else.
Yeah.
Downloading the videos. Like, oh, I know a video would work here. I got to download it. I got to put it up and cut it up, and then, make sure if the music's copyrighted or not. I got to make sure I take it out.
Yeah. And then being with Transworld, it's probably like important, right?
Yeah,
if it's copyright music.
That's what I'm thinking. Which is weird too, because some of that's old 4-in-1 stuff. Like, I don't know if they had the rights or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they have the rights. Like, I guess if it's Transworld related, they'll have the rights. Like, because there was something, and Blair told me, like, yeah, I'll just click it off. Like, just let me know you got. I think I even did something, and I was like, fuck, this got copyrighted. And he was like, yeah, just email me. I'll make a thing. I was like, no, I can just take the music out. But
Yeah.
he, for the Transworld stuff, I think they own the music rights, so he can, like, I guess Transworld owns that. So if it goes, then they get the monetization for it. This was for, like,
okay.
for the Dead Air Radio podcast. But I was like, oh, fuck, Blair, you guys fuck me,
Yeah.
He was like, no, I can accept it. And then and I was like, I'll just take the music out.
Yeah. The copyrights are like the worst. I like we were talking today about, like, I put the new school video on, like, YouTube. It's like I immediately got it red message back. They're like, this is copyrighted, this is copyrighted. So I had to, like,
Yeah.
take some of the music out.
Well, I saw that. Oh, so you took it out because Chris Redden's part had no sound.
Yeah. He
Um,
had like Rolling Stones or something like that for his
Yeah.
part. I was like, there's no way.
Was that your shop you went to, like, when you were younger? Was
Yeah.
that you were a new school dude?
Yeah, I was a new school guy. Like super little. That was like my first sponsor.
Mhm.
I guess I kind of wasn't like fully like on the team. I was like, kind of just like whatever. I skated in Beast of the East 2002, and I got second place.
That was at
Rampage.
Rampage, yes, the indoor part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Braun
Braun
won. And then I got second, and then Chris Redden got third. So like Dean from New School like approached me that day and was like, "Yo, come by the shop. Like I'll hook you up." Like, so. But at the same time, I guess that they were going through something, and shortly after, maybe like a year or two later, I think they closed down. But that shop, yeah, that was like my shop, and Mike Lent, like all
Mhm.
those dudes were like my heroes.
Yeah.
So
Lent's part was really good in that. I was watching
Yeah.
it today, and I was like, oh, this is like Lent's best part.
yeah,
He'll
it was
probably
so
be like,
good.
it is not. But I was like, this is cool, like Baggy Mike. This
Yeah.
is pretty sick.
He did that switch nose blunt down the table
Yeah.
at Center Reach Pools. I was like,
Yeah.
crazy,
It's I remember New School. I rode for New School.
sick. Oh,
Yeah. So did Papalardo. He won't
Really?
tell
I didn't
anybody,
know
though.
that.
Yeah. Like, so I want to say it was around '96, and
Sick.
they were the only shop that we heard of sponsoring people. So I remember it was like, oh, we can go there, and it was like they had everything, and Sauce was really like, we didn't go to Sauce then.
Yeah,
It was Sauce was super small, and like, so we're like, oh, New School has like 50 billion boards, like let's go there. So I remember we'd drive out there, we were always there, and I remember just kept like giving them videos, and they're like, yeah, you're on the team. And then I worked
Sick.
there for a little bit, and I ended up quitting there. I remember that there was like this is pretty funny. So they had you remember oh God, what's his name?
Mike Deeney.
No, there was no, this is before those dudes.
Oh, okay.
But there was Ray Pennington. You remember Ray Pennington?
Sounds so familiar.
Big dude looked like Nodis. I think it was like Anthony, him, me, and then yeah, like this was before Lent. Like Lent was younger then.
Yeah, he
I'm
was
trying to
young.
think of who else was even on it. There's probably some other people out there that were on it. But super random. Like it was just like pretty weird. And but I remember working there, and there was it was a weekend, like back to school. That's what it was. It was back to school, tax free, whatever. So it was a huge sale, and we're all working. And there was a demo during the sale, and it was, I want to say it was like a Shorty's demo or something.
Sick.
And do you ever go to the demos when they used to bring out all the ramps?
Yeah.
Like they had like storage units for the ramps. It was so sick, and they put them in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Um,
I went to the one. I think it was DVS. I'm not sure though. I think it was DVS demo there, but Harold was there. So this must have been like 2001
Okay.
or 2000. I think.
I remember the
it was.
firm went there.
Oh yeah,
They
I
had
missed
that one in the back. That was in the back. That was weird.
Yeah.
There was an A-Team demo. So that's what I think. Maybe it was the A-Team demo. But either there was this demo going on. Anyway, the next day, this dude Dan, who was I guess his family owned it, so he didn't skate at all. He was
Oh,
a
yeah.
teacher who like quit being a teacher to like work at this or manage. And then it was his sister, and there was some dude Darren. I don't know if you remember any of them, but
Darren sounds so familiar.
yeah, Darren was this red-haired dude. He didn't skate either. Maybe he had a board or something, but he was
Yeah.
the cool one. And Dan ran it like you can't do this, you can't do that, and,
Yeah.
you can't get a discount on any new shoes. You have to go to like the last month's model or whatever. He was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So we're there, and he's like, all right, there's a pair of shoes missing. Who is responsible for the shoes? And I'm sitting there like, I had a shift on the shoes. Like, there was a whole meeting about it. I had a meeting, and it was like, what is this meeting for? Like, did you even check inventory? did you check that these shoes are out of goddamn inventory? And he was like, yeah, I checked. And I was like, nobody stole shoes. So behind the counter, what started, there was a Ronnie Krieger box with some other used shoes in there.
Yeah.
And I remember it was something like, he was like, yeah, who's on shoes? And I was like, the only person on shoes was this girl who worked there. So I was like, why don't you just ask her? Like, why are we all involved in this? It's so stupid. And he kept coming up to me. So who took the shoes? Who took the shoes? Coming back, who took the shoes? Like, dude, you ask me again, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's like, who took the shoes? And I was like, fuck you, I'm out of here. You're really quitting? Like, it was understaffed. It was a sale week, so it was like tons of people in there. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, fuck you. And it turns out the next day, dude, Ray Pennington came into where he was off. So his day working, and the shoe thing, he's like, shoe thing? Lou Rivera bought those shoes, and he asked me to throw out his box, but it was so busy I didn't get around to getting to the garbage.
Damn.
So they were there.
Yeah.
They were out of inventory. He didn't look. And I remember he was like, you really quit? You don't want to come back? And I was like, dude, fuck you. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
So
that's
from then
wild.
on,
shout out Lou Rivera.
Yeah, so
the
funny.
Fresh Ronnie Kriegers.
Yeah, it was. That was a new school. That's what I remember. But they did have a lot of stuff. They had that ramp, which was pretty cool. Later on.
Yeah, that's what drew me in. It was like the ramp. I used to skate that all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, same thing. I used to go to Sauce, but like I grew up in Center Reach, so Sauce was like a little bit of a drive for my mom. So I was like, all right, I'll go to New School. And then New School was on the way to my grandfather's house. So like my mom would drop me off there, come here, and then go back to pick me up on the way home or whatever.
Awesome.
And skate the ramp all day.
Yeah,
great.
That was cool. It was a 3-foot.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember that's
awesome.
the only mini ramp. Like I can't skate transition, but I remember I could axle stall, I could lip stall, like I could do tricks. Like it's nothing special, but for me, I was like, oh my god, I can skate.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I remember those like sales too, like when skate shops would have sales like before the internet basically is like it was crazy to get in there. Like there was like people outside, like tons of people.
Yeah, dude, insane. Like but seriously, it was like
busy.
Huge. Like cuz you couldn't go online. It wasn't online. You had to go in and it was like I think that it's like skating started picking up too in popularity, so there's a lot of people skating and
it was good. Yeah, that's like my favorite era. Like I love like the turn of the century basically was like my favorite era for style and videos and just everything. Like the memories I have. And going back to what you said about like seeing the first like pro skater like skate on that level was for me, I went to a DVS demo at Rampage. I think it was like 2003, and I watched Jerron Wilson from the 9 Club. Like he like back nose blunted that weird like flat down like handrail. I guess it was like the only handrail. There was a quarter in the back. And he like back nose blunted it like every try. And I remember me and Nick Sasso were like trying to just skate that. Like we'd board slide it, front board it. Like Nick Sasso had a back tail, which was dope after like a couple months of trying it. And I remember I saw him back nose blunted every try, and I was like, "That's like a pro skater. Like that's crazy. Like that's what you want to be,
Yeah, it's crazy too because you think like, all right, kids in California, that's what they see. Like if you're in LA, you see these dudes every day. Like we're on Long Island, you see Brian Davis.
Yeah.
Like nothing against Brian Davis, he's a good skater.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like that's your good skater. Where California's like, oh yeah, Jerron Wilson's here, killing it. And,
yeah. The weather's always nice. People are just skating every day.
Better.
The ground is way better. It's crazy.
It's like there's spots that they would be the biggest spot here. They don't even that doesn't even have wax. We don't skate that.
Yeah.
Like there's better stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I miss from that era that I feel like changed with just the whole progression of skateboarding, like the way it is now, is like we have so many skate parks now on Long Island. They're all concrete, perfectly built skate parks, and no one really like people do skate street. But it's like, even 10 years ago, like when I was filming for the Morgue New York video, like we went out and just like we're like, hey, that looks cool, and then like waxed it up and skated it, and like we're like, we hope we don't get arrested, like that element kind of like there's still spots, but I feel like even security and like cops now are just like, oh, they're gonna be in the Olympics, like they don't care.
But it is different where we were park skating for us was like a no-no.
Yeah.
Like, or you could skate a park. It's weird too, because Sauce video. Did you ever see the Sauce video?
Yeah.
So like in that, it's funny because there are skate park clips in that. Like it was a weird time where it was almost. We should have probably known better, but you'd see them in other videos. Like they had them every once in a while. So it was like, all right, like You can limit it to like 3 apart, and
Yeah.
you're good. But like actual skate parks, like it was like, no, that's,
Yeah.
you know, you go there to, even we didn't even want to skate them.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like, unless it was an indoor, like Union would go to. Did you ever go to Union?
Union, yeah.
Union was the best.
Yeah, I love that place.
But otherwise, it was like skate street. Like we would skate Union if it was under 40 degrees and like in the winter, Oil City. Like otherwise, we'll skate street.
Yeah.
Now it's like you skate the park, you skate the park, you skate the park, or you don't really skate.
Yeah.
Or like we'll make a big trip to the city to street skate, and then it's park.
Yeah.
So that's all changed, definitely.
100%. I always, anytime that like I filmed something or like a part, or I was like, filming for anything, any type of like video or whatever, I always kept it like, speaking of creativity, like I would keep it in my mind. Like I'm going to find spots. Like I feel like this has been lost in translation too. I wanted to find spots that people didn't skate.
Right.
Like not only just street skate, but like street skate spots that like people are like untouched, know? And I feel like a lot of the new gen, no offense to them, like they don't really have that. They're kind of just like, oh, Bobby did a tray flip off the set at this skate park. Like I gotta do switch tray flip.
Well, I was gonna say
know?
I'm gonna do a tray flip also.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even it's yeah.
And it's sick because I can't tray flip that set, but like at the same time, it's like, you gotta have that artistic creativity kind of like merged in for it to be like stand out.
I mean, if you're filming a part, right? So you have the tricks, you have your actual style, right?
Yeah.
The music you're gonna pick, and then it's the spots. Like
Yep.
That's your component to a part. And there's ways, if you're lacking in A or B, where you can make it up in C and D.
Yeah.
To still try and have an enjoyable part. And yeah, definitely spots. Like that's where you're skating.
Yeah.
It's funny too though, like where it's more like, oh, that trick wasn't cool. It's like, hey, that was a cool spot. Where's that spot?
Exactly. Yeah.
But it gets somebody to watch. They're still watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like to find a spot that hasn't been skated, or to figure out something else, or figure out a new take on a played out spot. Like kind of try and hit it different. All that stuff. Yeah. Super important, and it doesn't seem like it's lost.
Yeah.
It's lost these days.
And going back to what you said about like skate park clips, like I feel like my favorite parts throughout history of like skate videos, like that had skate park clips in it, it was always like the gnarliest thing that you could do at a skate park.
Yeah.
Like that one clip, I think it was Dustin Dolan, he like backside flipped over that like spiky fence at like some park in like Europe. I don't know if you remember that clip. He like, it was like a 6-foot tall fence, and he came out and there was like a weird little bank, and he just backside flipped over it. Like to me, I'm like, all right, that's a skate park clip, but like sick, you know, like worth it, And I feel like if you are filming a part and you're doing like a skate park clip, it's got to be like the gnarliest thing at the skate park, like that you shouldn't be skating, but you skated anyway, and it like looks crazy.
What was it? Static 2? Julio skates a skate park.
Oh
which
yeah,
is pretty crazy. Like he does, it's insane. I think he has a couple clips in it, but he ollies like some channel, I think. But I know it's like he skates, he even it's like it's a cement park, and not like on a pub or something like.
Yeah.
Transition. I guess it's legal.
Yeah, transition skate parks.
Yeah, like on a cement park is that I think you can get away with, but yeah, it's still a skate park. But now you can make a career out of just Instagramming skate park.
Yeah,
like that's
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Me and Ricky were talking about that, like like viral tricks, like tricks go. Like we were talking about that. This dude, I don't know if you ever saw the clip. It's like a launch ramp, and it's like just up, flat, and then a bank, and there's like, I don't know the dude's name, but there's like mountains in the background. He does like a 1440 flip.
I've never seen it.
But he went viral like 10 times, like doing the same craziest trick. And I'm like, that dude must wake up and be like, I'm going to the park today, and I'm going to do like a 900 tray flip over this ramp. And like, more power to him, because that's what motivates him. But like me personally, I'm like, is that really skateboarding?
Is that skating? No,
it's like,
that's insane. And then it's like, I hate to say it, besides you're talking about it now, but then it's like, that's forgotten in 3 days.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, you go viral, and then it's like, that was another topic. Like the pros that I like that are like newer pros are like the ones that are consistent, like Mason Silva, like constantly putting out bangers, or like Jamie Foy just putting out like good stuff every year, hitting skater of the year. Those are the dudes that are like like the dude that's on Instagram that does like the craziest trick ever, and everybody's like, 9 million likes, but like that person, it took him 9 million tries to land it.
Yeah. Well, that's like with that dude Jamie Griffin.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's funny. There was a Gifted Hater one where he's like reviewing his part. Did you ever see that one?
No, I didn't see
It's
that.
amazing. But he's just like kind of like this dude is a flat ground skater, and it's like he has to try and prove that he can skate street, but he's just skating flat ground on like even his ledge tricks. It's just how he's in it. It's like he's doing this like flat ground. It's so weird,
Yeah,
But that's like an Instagram skater. And
exactly.
he's trying to like, but I can skate street too, and it's like, can you?
Yeah,
Like for that level?
I would like not rather, but my preference, it's like I would watch Huff do 10 ollies in a row, opposed to like a dude do like a 1280 flip or whatever.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh no, definitely. I'd rather watch a Nate Jones kickflip
exactly.
than but
You
that's
know.
like lost. It's such a weird thing because it's like, is there going to be that anymore? Is
Yeah.
that like a sustainable career for somebody anymore? Like to be you know what I mean? Like those dudes were pros. I'm sure they weren't. Like Huff had his other stuff going on,
Yeah,
building up his brand and whatnot. And he was smart to do that. But like, like a Nate Jones who kind of was a pro skater for a while. Like, did that happen? Did you have a good kickflip? He did
Yeah.
more than that, but I don't see. There's nothing like that now.
yeah,
I wonder if even kids now saw his part, what they would say. Like, oh, he did a kickflip.
yeah. Like, oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
That's I like how the Nine Club, whenever they talk about Gino, they hold Gino in such a high regard, and they like because he's like style god,
Mhm.
and I feel like like he's from here, so I always I met Gino a couple times and hung out with him, and like it's like he was like bigger than life, and I feel like that's just the Long Island, New York City, like the way that we are, though. Same thing. Like when you see that style, like Gino's style, or like Antonio DeReo, like that's kind of like where. But a lot of people, they don't really see that. Like they don't see the style. They're
Right.
looking for the
Tricks.
tricks.
They're like, but he just, and it's like, no, but how did he do it? Well,
Yeah.
there was a Jeff Pang had an interview years ago, but I remember one of the things he was like, I'd rather watch an East Coast kid ollie up a curb than
Yeah,
a Cali kid 360 flip a Penn stairs.
exactly.
And it's kind of like, if you think about it, it's a little crazy to say, but I get it. Like, what the point of it is, like, I'd rather watch somebody with a good style. Here, they care more about style. They're worried more about how they dress. They're worried more about, you think of it in New York, we
Facts.
have, even though we're on Long Island, but like you have the city pretty close.
Yeah,
You have, like hip hop. Like all that stuff is here.
yeah,
That's where all these styles, would come from and whatnot. So you see it firsthand here. Like you go someplace else and they're behind.
yeah,
Now with the internet it's different, but it was always like, even here you'd get goofed on for skating. You didn't want to look like a skater, so you kind of, maybe you'd wear your Timberlands to school or something, and it's like, that's kind of cool.
yeah.
You have that mentality that this stuff is kind of cool, where somebody else, they don't see it. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No,
it's
definitely.
more, you want to look better on your board here.
Yeah,
Like there's more of a, just, you would get, ridiculed. Like you don't
Yeah.
want to look kooky, where in California they just, it's tricks, tricks, tricks.
Yeah.
And they don't care how they look. you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's crazy. I lived in California for like a couple months.
Where'd
and,
you live?
I lived in Lake Tahoe, like Northern California. So like I skated there a lot, and I knew a lot of skaters, but they wouldn't like usually come out. I had one good friend, Tyler, that would come out and skate with me, but like I would see other people and it was like very competitive and weird, but everybody there ripped. And then there was like my local shop there that I would like go in and like try to like just be like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" Like they had a bunch of like rails and stuff outside that I would skate, and they were like, I remember one time I was skating like a little flat bar that they had outside, and like dudes came out and were like taking videos of me, and I'm like, no one ever skates these. Like, are these just for decoration? Like, where is everybody? And but I was in the mountains in
Mhm.
Northern California, so, but yeah, it's like just different there.
Yeah, and
The
it's
whole
wild.
vibe.
Everybody out there is good. I
Yeah,
remember going to LA in like 2000 and staying for like a month out there. And I remember it was like, even the kid who filmed, who if he was on Long Island would be terrible. Like he just
Yeah.
wouldn't have progressed. It was so weird. And I was like, it'll take him half an hour, but he did a nollie flip no slide on a low ledge.
yeah,
And I'm like, fuck. And that's the worst kid here. That's the kid who's like the filmer's back up there.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, holy
He
shit.
brings the
like,
gear from the
this
van.
this same kid bring him to us, like growing up here, I was like, he could maybe kickflip.
Yeah.
Like it was so crazy because just what they see firsthand and what's possible.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I was out there, I saw so many good I was in the mountains, so like we had skate house, which was like an indoor bowl, but like a sick bowl, and like every single person that would go there was like ridiculous, like Bucky Lassick,
Yeah.
just was just crazy. And I'm like, how do you guys? They're like, oh, this is what we skate, and I'm like, that's crazy. But it was weird where I live geographically. It was more like ramps and stuff than
Mhm.
it was like street. Like my buddy Tyler that I skated with, he's from Vermont, but he lives out there, and like he had street style. So like me and him would skate street spots and like whatever. He rips too. He's nasty. So let's so I recorded this clip. I wanted to see. It's kind of like more like an edit. Maybe we'll do.
Oh,
like
I get a whole edit.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hopefully it's from my boy Willie Rivera. He's killing it filming lately. So this is a skate park. Brentwood edit. I really like the song that he used. He's got like
Is this he's filming or this is?
yeah. Willie's the filmer. So this is Brentwood skate park.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it's tight. It's good. It's just that everything there is like kind of small, It's like a kind of like a training,
That's
like
good
a TF.
for me.
Yeah,
I'll take that. Somebody was telling me that this place it gets like
crowded.
and where everything is.
Yeah,
It's like if you want to skate the box, you're in the way of something else.
100%. It's kind of like 3 sections, like 1, 2, and then a cross section. And if you like, you can flow around the whole thing if no one's there, but and they got this weird little like middle section that like it's good but bad. Like people play skate in the middle section, but like you could have put like a hump or something
Okay,
to like flow through.
but there's an empty area because usually my thing is like, where do I warm up without bothering anybody?
Yeah, the middle section is like the spot. It's cool though. It's a good spot.
Yeah, my friend Marcello says he lives right around the block.
Oh yeah, it's sick. Yeah,
Do you
it's
know
like
Marcello?
10 minutes from here.
Iaboni?
Yes,
Okay.
Marcello's the man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He was like, yeah, I go at like 9 in the morning. Nobody's there.
Yeah, that's the move. I used to go early before work, and there's nobody there. Usually, from 3 p.m. to like 6 p.m. is like the hot time. Kids get out of school, and everybody gets out of work. You see like a lot of.
So is this or Montauk? What's better? I haven't been to either of them.
Oh man, that's a tough question. So the people, shout out Dom. He was part of building Montauk, and he was part of building this for Pivot Customs. So they're very similar, but this is more street. Is this just rerunning? I don't know. This is a long ass edit.
It is. I was gonna say like.
No, I think it's almost over. Yeah. So they're like the same company built both parks. This is more street inspired, I guess. Like there's some transition, but like Montauk, they got the big bowl. But like, I don't know. That's a tough question. I live closer to Brentwood. Brentwood's like 10 minutes from me, but Montauk's 2 hours. But if I lived closer to Montauk, I would say Montauk. I still think that Montauk is probably one of our best parks on Long Island, if not the
That's
best.
got to be the best one. I haven't even
Yeah.
been there. I go to Riverhead now. I drive
Riverhead.
an hour to go to Riverhead.
Wow.
Nobody's there.
Yeah.
I skate there alone. It's great.
Yeah, Riverhead is great.
Yeah.
I like Riverhead. I was thinking recently, like, nowadays everything's concrete. We have like tons of concrete parks. It's refreshing to skate like a wood park, a sheet metal.
I like because I went there the first time I went there. I had to drive my daughter to her friend's house, and lives in Mastic. So I was like, oh, Riverhead's here. I've never been here. And I remember going there, and I was like, this place sucks. This is how do they have a double level park that's this bad? And then the box with like the round coping.
Yeah.
And Brian, Brian from Bunger.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you always
Bubba K.
fucking skate this? Yeah, best dude. And I was like, how do you skate this? And he's like, dude, it's the best part. It's the best box. And I'm like, dude, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And I you know what? I skated it, and I was like, oh, this works. This is kind of fun. Like, I like it. And then I was like, nobody's around, like I have nothing to do today, like 10 in the morning, like I'm going out to Riverhead. So I've gone there like 2 or 3 times, like on my own, drove an hour to go there just to skate that shitty box.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I like that park. It grows on you. That's what it is. You know, it's one of those parks that I feel like is like from the old age that is built a little weird, but I like that.
It's such a
Everything's
good
perfect now.
layout. Like
Yeah.
in theory, well, somebody told me they had a good mini ramp there, and they took a spine and stuff, and they took
Yeah.
that down. So there's just empty ground everywhere. And like I said, it's 2 levels.
Yeah. The
Pretty
ground
crazy.
is good though, which
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas opposed like I would like Greenport a lot better if the ground was better.
I've been there forever.
Yeah.
I went there
It's the
because
same.
I think they opened in 2001 or 2, and I remember going there then. And there was like a Chapman demo, and like Billy Rohan and
Yeah.
Danny
hell
Gonzalez were on Chapman. But I remember going there, and it was like these big metal ramps. Everything was huge.
Yeah.
So I never went back. And I was like, this is a hike, and this stuff's like it's like
Giant.
street obstacles.
Yeah.
But no, Peep, it's still around. The oldest park on Long Island, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's I appreciate it, and even though like it's the cement stuff is crumbling, so but I still appreciate it. I still try to skate. You know, Gino had that clip there a long time ago at Greenport. I think it was in one of those.
Was it in a Nike edit?
Yeah, I think so. But it was also in his Epically Latered, I think.
Okay.
Or it might have been Huff's Epically Latered. Or it might have been Gino. No, I think it was Gino's. But, yeah, I get hyped when I see those.
See, isn't it crazy? Gino skating a park. And it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because it's so cool. Like,
Greenport,
we'll take
nonetheless.
it. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So sick.
Yeah. So, we're at like 20.
Oh, am I supposed to review the clip?
Oh, what do you think?
So definitely has to be, what was that, like 2 minutes? I would have cut it down. It's different too, this stuff. Like, I don't want to like just like start bashing on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, I don't know who these kids are. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's different, just in general, you see something like this and it's like for people in it, like, it's cool. Everybody has their boys. Everybody's boys are at a different level.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know if this is just, I'm making this for the homies. It's awesome. If
Yeah.
you're making this, like, I want to get views on this, then you got to, hurt some feelings and
Yeah.
cut it down. But, I mean, I didn't get nauseous from the filming, so that was cool.
Yeah.
It was filmed okay.
That's what I love.
Music was fine. So all of that, I mean, the kids are good. It's just, I would have condensed it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
I agree.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know Willie's like main like recipe,
Mhm.
but I love the way he films. I'm a big fan. Like how he films, the music that he uses, I think is great. But yeah, my only critique would be like these are probably clips that he's been filming for like a month and he probably threw it
Just
all together.
I'd
you
probably get a little closer with the zooms. I'd be a little more. I know you guys were talking about the Strobeck thing. I'd be a little
Yeah.
closer to Strobeck than this, but it's fine. You can see everything. It's on Instagram. Like, this is,
Yeah.
it's like overanalyzing an Instagram clip of
Yeah.
like some friends. But no, it's cool.
I usually try whenever I like put out an edit or like make an edit, I always try to keep it like less than a minute, just because like people's attention spans, especially Instagram.
Well, that's the craziest thing too. So think about making a full length, like having a brand and trying to do it. Holy shit!
Yeah, we're chilling. I mean, I appreciate.
I knew
it,
this was
the
going to happen.
conversation. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Considering we've never met, I've seen you before in passing, but we've never met. So it's like,
Yeah.
We've
talked a bunch of times. It's hard to like get out and with like adult life and shit.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like
Totally.
But going back to
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. So we saw the clip. So do I have to review the clip again?
no, you're good.
that
yeah,
get on?
yeah,
Okay.
that was good.
All right.
I think.
Yeah.
If not, whatever.
So if you can edit this in, but yeah, the clip was cool. I would have made it shorter and zoomed in a little more.
Yeah.
25% more Strobeck.
Yeah.
There we go. That's that in a nutshell.
Yeah. I was talking about that, what we were talking about before yesterday, about like, back in the day, the longer like you'd buy like a VHS, and the longer the VHS for me, the better. I'm like, oh, this is an hour long video.
Yeah.
Like sick. I
Got
can
my
watch
money's
this.
worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like, even me who's I lived through that. Now I'm like, this shit's an hour. Like when somebody puts out like a video,
Yeah.
I'm like, make it 5 minutes max.
It's hard because you still have to find that time in your day to go through and watch X amount. Like,
yeah.
podcast stuff like that is different. You can put it on and listen to it while you're driving. You have
Exactly.
dead time. All right, I listen to a half an hour here. I'm not doing anything. half hour home. That's an hour out of the way. You can't listen to a skate video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
101, it's before your time, but I remember like 101 was like the first brand I remember coming out with these short videos. Like there was World Industries did one, two World Industries, man. Did you ever see that? It's with
I think
Randy
I
Calvin
saw
and
the
Dune.
first one.
But there was the old 101 videos. 101 videos were always short.
Yeah.
So then that was before like Love Child was like probably 20 something minutes. But they always had these short format videos, 101, and it just made you want more. Now they'd be like, oh, this is like everybody's format now.
Yeah.
These 7-8 minute edits if you really want to like. Here we go. It's 8 minutes. You know?
How do you feel about so like in recent times in Long Island, like like Rick Mo just put out like his own part, and then Roy yesterday or the day before, really, I mean, it got dropped, like put out his own part. I feel like that's becoming a trend. I don't know exactly, like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, people, instead of being with a company and being like, all right, there's 5 skaters in this video, it's 20 minutes long. Now it's kind of like single parts, like this person, this person.
So I used to.
Shane McGrain too had his own part. Like, remember, like
Oh, it was like
a
Shane
year
McGrain
ago,
part
it was like
3.
5
He
minutes
dark
long.
slid the grate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
part
Which,
3.
so I'm like the expert of Shane McGrain parts now because I have to go scroll through stuff for mini logo posts. So I'm like, all right, Shane had a part. Good, he's productive, and I gotta like download it and take pieces of it. But yeah, it's hard because I remember. Do you remember Siegel?
Yes.
So when I ran that, that was like my first brand of
Sick.
doing anything, and I
didn't
remember
know that.
starting
That's
it.
sick.
Yeah, Cody Rosenthal, the best.
He's the man.
Cody ever sell you boards?
No.
Did you know him? Okay, because I remember Sayers. He used to always sell Sayers and Kyle Remendino boards.
Oh,
which
yeah?
was funny, like super random. Like Kyle's like, I always bought them off Cody. I was like, that's the only way the brand stayed around. But I remember I had this thing like, all right, so we have a team. If the team's 5 guys, I was like, quarterly, we'll have a part, short montage, part. So everybody's in there like bookends, and everybody, then the next guy who's working on that second part, maybe he'll have his part done, and then it will keep rotating. And it never worked out, dude. Skaters are lazy.
Yeah.
It's hard. And but if they're doing their single parts, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the team is doing. So again, they're like trying to sell Roy's board, which is awesome. Should have happened 15 years ago,
True.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like they should have given Roy a board, and I pray they pay him.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's but give him his royalties. But they're selling that board. It would have been cool, and they totally could have in that part. Maybe they could have put a trick of Fidel, trick of Jake.
Yeah.
Like, Jake killed it with the acting.
Hell yeah.
Jake is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a natural. Like he needs to get his SAG card or something and pursue a career. He was good in that.
Hell yeah.
Like the dude Sal, like they could have been in it. I mean, I guess it was just very geared towards Roy and the board, but they could have had something in. Yeah, but and then with Rick Smo, like he had his part. Like I don't know, the ins and outs of the company he rides for, who has footage or what they're filming with. If it doesn't match, I don't know. As far as branding, though, I mean, sometimes you're just at the mercy of what you're given, which is weird because I'm sure you're from a different generation where if you were getting stuff for free, you'd want to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wayward Souls video, you got a part.
Oh yeah,
first
thank
part,
you.
right?
Yeah.
So like,
thank you so much for
yeah.
knowing that.
But you had a part. You went out, you filmed.
Yeah.
And that's what sponsored skaters are supposed to do, and it doesn't always work, or they don't want to film, or they can't get a filmer. So again, it's like, well, we got to sell this board. So, well, Roy has this thing,
Yeah.
And then there's stuff too. Like I don't know if somebody else's clips maybe would have overwhelmed somebody else's stuff. Like that stuff's weird too.
Yeah.
Pete Eldridge's part in that Trend and Hallelujah, like it's kind of
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Did you ever see it?
I think so.
But he's in it. So, but then they had to pad his part out, and it's Tom Asta and Chris Cole.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Pete Eldridge is dope, and he looks cooler than those dudes. But it's like you see those other parts, and it's like, oh, they needed this in here because he's not really up to this bar. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Crazy.
Like, yeah. So you have him and Chris Cole doing all this crazy
Yeah.
stuff, and it's kind of weird. It's weird they did it in the part because it's almost like it takes away from Pete Eldridge's part. So it would have been better without them in it, I think. But yeah, it's as a brand. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It was both for they put out parts to get bored, so I guess it's about them. So that's I like the whole little montage thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also a traditional part guy. I don't like.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, the old way, like
Yeah.
getting each skaters, and I feel like nowadays, with different like media formats, like there's HD, there's SD, like
Hmm.
everybody has a little bit of everything, iPhone clips, and like, sometimes, I feel like now putting together like a full video would be like a
Yeah,
big job.
it's hard, and I'm a big I back like use a format. But I've
Yeah,
had it even with D.O.A. I had riders who had VX, and then I had riders who were doing HD, and I was just like, this. I have to figure out a way to work with this.
yeah,
And there was times I've even like tried to like put filters on and stuff to take the HD look off of the HD, like just so it kind of matches and crop stuff out.
yeah,
Sometimes it sucks because it's like this is what I have to deal with, but at the same time, it's like, oh, got to put this guy in, filmed. The tricks are cool, but it's you got to make it work. But yeah, it's hard,
yeah,
especially small brand level. It's you don't have a set filmer, and if everybody doesn't live near each other, you can't go out on a filmer trip with the same filmer.
yeah. It'd be good, like a nice fat budget, and then you just have one filmer, and you pay for the trips to like go.
Yeah,
That's the move,
that
but
was
it's almost
definitely
impossible.
it's hard. That's with Northern. My partner he moved out to San Francisco, so he was out there with all the dudes, and it was kind of like they didn't want anybody else on, and I was always kind of bummed about that. Like, but we have Sayers here. Sayers is getting bored. Sayers is on, but he's not out there.
Yeah,
And it was kind of like, but I get why they wanted everybody out there because they had Zach Chamberlain filming, so he can film everybody,
yeah,
and they go out together, and they get so you can get 6 clips in a day instead of like, well, this guy got one from this filmer, and it all looks the same. Especially when you get like the VX filmers and the VX filmers who are super close. If you
yeah,
have somebody who's not as close, like they could still be a good filmer, but it sticks out like a sore thumb. Now
yeah.
it looks like they're 10 miles away.
Yep.
So
That's important. Filming too. I tell like a lot of people that get fish eyes and stuff, or like they're getting into filming, and they're like, oh, they like ask me questions. I'm like, just fucking get close, get as close as you can. Use that lens, like whatever lens you got, use it to its full advantage.
yep.
Like doesn't matter if you got a shitty Amazon fisheye or you got like MK1. Like just get as close as you can. You
Yeah,
know,
especially the shittier the lens, like you really have to, because even with
get in
HD,
there.
there's a lot of variations. I mean, you can get like, you know, one of the cameras like, but we get that like extreme depth lens that's like 12 grand now or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, that's industry standard. But other than that, you can get away with other stuff. But you can't. You start filming bad with bad stuff, it's like even worse. Like,
yeah,
I think bad HD is like awful.
terrible.
VX you can kind of hide, but even with that, the whole point of that camera is the lens.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's crazy. With Northern and Mandible Claw, do Colin Reed, like he's insane. Did you ever see Spirit Quest?
No, I don't think so.
All right, I'll send you a link later. So Spirit Quest and Tengu, 2 videos he made, and he did some Northern edits for us too. But watching him film, like no joke, that camera's here. Like this is the skater and this is the lens, and it's like he is there, and I'm just like, oh my god, like that's how close you have to be. Like I always just thought, like yeah, we're pretty good filmers, and I was like, oh my god, I suck at this. When you see it like a master at it, and it's just like, wow, he's in person, like no joke, like 2 inches away.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you see it, and you're like, oh, that's how I want it to look. Like, all right, I gotta, reevaluate myself, and this is what I have to start trying to do, and it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
a lot of filmers too, like I was saying, like newer people and stuff that just get into filming. They just want to film their friends. Like they don't know certain tricks like that.
Mhm.
Like getting close and getting certain angles. And I feel like even if like a lot of people ask me about camera gear, oh, I want to get this camera, like whatever, and I'll give them like my best advice, but it's really doesn't really matter what you have as long as you use it properly or like the way that to its max ability. I feel like, and yeah, and it's confusing now. Like with cameras like this, it's like interchangeable lens system. Like there's 1,000 different fisheyes for that camera, like that I could find, and I bought a shitty one and I just try to make it work,
Yeah.
like. But it's not as easy, not even easy. Like back in the day with VXs, it's like the VX, the lens. Like it was
Right,
kind
that
of
was it.
one
You had a
thing.
mark. You got a
Yeah,
Mark 1. You got the lens. You film long lens. Take the lens off, and you can zoom.
exactly.
You get a DSLR. You can't really film long lens.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? You don't have access to
you don't
zoom.
have
Is
the
different.
zoom.
Yeah.
There's
So
no motor. Like they do make like motorized zooms. I've never used one, but it's like, is it even worth it? Because you're not going to get a camcorder style.
yeah,
You know?
because I know people would get like one of the Panasonic bodies
Yeah.
for long lens, and then they would get a DSLR with a fisheye, and that was their fisheye camera.
Yeah.
And I was always like, that's cool, that makes sense, because I've seen people try like long lens with the DSLR and zooming, and it's just weird.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too. Like, so if your camera sucks at it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
film fisheye. Or if you have like a Panasonic body, just film long lens. Don't try and get like some crappy fisheye to put on it. Like, just film long lens. Strobeck made it legal.
Yeah.
You can sit there, your back will thank you, and you can just keep it tight. Not like, again, you don't want to just see half a wheel floating in the screen, but you can. There's ways around it. Just try and. But yeah, it's got to be close. You got to be.
You got to see everything.
Mhm.
Or at least the board.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But you gotta. That's what I always think. Like, definitely closer, like you said, though. You don't want far. Like, you just know it's bad. You know you'd make fun of it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, far filming. You'd be like, oh, this is filmed like shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, try and watch videos. Hey, watch videos. You see the things they're doing.
Yeah.
But out here it's hard too, because you got to see somebody. Like I said, like, I think we were serviceable. I mean, my friends had filmed me, but it was like, seeing a pro, and then it's like, okay, because you don't see that out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in California, those dudes will see it.
Yep.
They'll go to a spot and there's real filmers. So seeing it firsthand, and it's like, holy shit, that's what I got to do. All right.
Yeah. I've taken a lot of like, if that ever happens to me and I see like a filmer, pro filmer or something in person, and I like study what they do, the way that they move with the camera, what they do before, and I've taken a lot of tips from that, especially snowboarding. Like when I was traveling snowboarding, like I'd see people at like contests or whatever filming, and I knew that edit was going to go to like, the biggest snowboard magazine, and I'm like, oh, let me see how this guy films, and stuff like that, and going back to what you said about like camera equipment, it's like you can't replicate that camcorder zoom with like a DSLR that well, and you'd be killing yourself to try to do it. So like instead use the DSLR the way that it's intended,
Mhm.
and just keep it prime, like focused. And like I noticed that when I first got this camera, I was like I have a Panasonic DVX with like a 72 millimeter like Opteca, so I was used to filming with that. But then when I got this, I was trying to replicate a camcorder style with that, and I'm like, it's not working,
Yeah.
So then I did a little research on that. I'm like, I can get like the cinematic style shots with that camera.
Mhm.
So I started like long lens with that. Instead of zooming in, zooming out like you would with a camcorder, I would frame it like I would keep it zoomed or whatever, blur the background if I could, and then just like have something in the foreground that's blurred, and then just the skater in the back, and then that was like my recipe.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that makes sense because that's what that camera's made for,
Right.
And I feel like there was a while, like probably 2012 to like 2016, that like a lot of skate videos were filmed like that, probably on DSLRs, and they used them properly like that. So I watched like a bunch of videos, and I was like, I'm doing this wrong. I can't film VX style with a DSLR.
Yeah.
Like,
It's even when I went from VX to HD, and I have an HMC 150,
sick.
and I remember going from that, and I have a Mark 1 on it.
Oh,
So I
tight.
got an adapter, but it's weird, and I'm kind of like, even now I'm like, for uploading it's cool,
Yeah.
but I wish I had the VX again, because it's almost like the digital cameras now. It's like there's a lot, like the HD cameras. There's like settings and all this shit.
Yeah.
There's, it's the VX. I knew how to set it up. I knew how to, the sharpness, and you do this and certain shutter speeds, and it was like you just click it open.
It was
and,
easier.
Yeah, yeah. This is like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I have this lens on it, but it's just weird to me. I feel like I'm like not cheating, but it's,
Yeah.
but I'm not spending 12 grand on,
Some like insane.
yeah, for
Yeah, it
like
could
that
get
extreme
expensive.
fisheye,
Yeah. The
um,
extreme.
which is sick. That thing's heavy though.
Yeah.
Lloyd had it. You know
Yeah.
Lloyd?
Yeah, I know Lloyd.
Lloyd's the best.
man.
Lloyd Richardson.
Yeah.
Best. Shout out Lloyd.
Yeah. Shout out Lloyd.
Yeah.
Meme
I
god.
had two thirsties. Lloyd's the best, and but I remember he had it, and he was like, we were skating, and I was like, oh, can you film a line me quick? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, fuck, dude.
Mad heavy.
Yeah, I was like, this is crazy.
He-
Yeah.
He's since switched over. He went micro four third sensor, like small little camera,
Mhm.
and I like what he does with it because he makes it look as close as possible to like I guess like he'll put it out in
It's 4. Yeah, he's doing everything
4:3.
4:3. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it looks great. And he gave me a bunch of like camera tips. He's like, you should get this camera, you should get this lens. And I'm like, yo, that shit like it's not that expensive, but I'm like, I already got like 10 cameras. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna maybe eventually, but he makes his footage looks like
Yeah,
unbelievable.
it's cool.
you
Like
know?
it seems like he came into his own with it.
Yeah, which is great. And I feel like it was quick too. Like he got that camera and then just figured it out. Like me, every time I get a new camera, it takes me like a while. Like I'm like, I don't know what
I
I'm
get
doing.
that, and I always go back to a VX because I'm like kind of like a crutch. Like, well, I know how this works.
Yeah.
You know, but with that, I used to have to even upload. So I have like an old Mac that has Final Cut 7 on it. Thing's
Sick.
probably 15 years old. So
Yeah.
I have that. I have to turn it on, pray it works, pray the program doesn't crash, FireWire and all that in. You know,
Yeah.
upload the footage, get an external, put the external in, bring the footage to that, and then put it to my other computer. And I was just like, this sucks.
Yeah. I'm
This
in the
is,
same boat with
like-
like the VHS.
Yeah.
I have a 2013 MacBook. I was just ripping like right before you got here. I was capturing a VHS, like a VHS-C.
Okay.
And I hit record. I'm like, I got like an hour or 30 minutes, whatever it is. So I went and did something. I came back and the computer was off, and then now it won't start again. So I'm like,
Yeah, it sucks. The old
Sucks.
technology, dude, it's scary because I was like, this is gonna die on me,
yeah.
and I'm gonna be fucked. And I
Yeah.
can't put 7. I can't put Final Cut. I had to go to Premiere,
Oh yeah.
which took me a minute because I was just like, I fucking hate this. I
Yeah.
hate this. And then I was like, oh, I got used to it, and I like it better than Final Cut 7. But I was like, all right, get used to this because it won't even if I get like adapter cords, it doesn't register any of the analog footage.
Yeah.
Or well, it's not analog on the VX1000.
Yeah.
It's digital, but it doesn't register the old cameras.
Yeah.
And,
That- I have a new MacBook I think it's like a 2022, and it has like the new Mac like M1 chip in it, and that chip won't recognize like standard definition.
it's so crazy.
Like I'm like, I
Mhm.
have to upload it or capture it on my old computer, then AirDrop it to myself.
Yeah,
It's a pain in the ass.
nostalgia, the price of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's
It
crazy.
sucks.
A lot of people ask me like skaters, like young skaters or whatever, will be like, oh, like I love the VHS quality or like the old, like even like mini DV. They're like, oh, I love that quality. Like I wanna start filming and I want to get that camera. I'm like, don't.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot of
like,
work.
It's a headache.
Yeah, we did an edit for D.O.A. It was all a high 8 edit. I was like, all right,
Oh,
so we're
yeah.
gonna do a high 8 edit, and Palace had already done stuff like that, But I was like, I want to make like an old video. Like,
Yeah.
this is just what I want to do. And I was like, all right. I was at a thrift store and I found this old Canon, high
High
8
eight.
camera, and it was like $20,
Sick.
and it was like, it works.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and I was like, all right, cool. And I remember I started hunting on eBay to find all these cameras, and I bought like 10 cameras because I was
Yeah.
getting them like they were like $25 each. So I was like, all right, cool. And I was sending them to all the riders, like, all right, here, just get somebody to film you, get somebody to film you.
Sick.
And
That's
I
a
bought
good idea.
little baby death lenses. They had those, which
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
actually kind of pissed I did because it takes away from the look of how that stuff should have. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like
Yeah.
it looked too modern.
Yeah. I
You
feel
know,
that.
you should have had the vignette, like the full vignette and all that stuff. I should have, but I was like, oh, these baby death lenses, and they fit on, and and it was like pulling teeth to get anybody to use them
Oh,
because
really?
they're all like, oh, well, I don't want to film a real clip on this. I
Yeah.
want to film it on a real camera. Like, no, dude, just get stuff on this. I remember that. Kyle Remendino was the best. But
Yeah.
I remember like I had to take him out because he wasn't like. He was kind of like, can we bring out the other camera?
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man. I was like, here, just do this line, and he was like, oh, and he was like, oh, that was pretty cool actually. I'm like, yeah, dude, come on. Like,
Looks
just
sick.
trust me. Yeah, and I had I think it was the VX3 or the VX1, so it was the i8 version or 8mm version of VX1000. I think
Tight.
it's a VX1, I want to say. It's a VX1 or a VX3, but I found one, and I was like, I want this. And the batteries are NiCad on it, so it sucked. Like, I had 2 batteries that would work for like 2 minutes, and then one that would work for like 15. So
Damn.
it sucked, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm using it, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. And I was like, but it almost looks close to the VX, so what the fuck's the point of me having this? Again, it's like, I have this
Yeah.
camera, it's not giving me, like, it looks too good from the rest of the stuff,
Yeah.
So you have to do, like, when you reverse and play and record, and you get the little lines, like, to try and add something to it. But I remember having that, like, that looks too clear, like, the camera's too good for this.
Yeah. It's probably the same like color
It was
color
close.
coding,
Yeah,
you know,
it
in the
was close.
camera.
Like you can tell it's washed out. The colors are a little washed out, but it was still too clear. You know, like
Yeah,
but yeah, even that uploading. Like I had to get all these special cords to upload, and
it's crazy.
yeah.
I had I use like an RCA, like the red, yellow,
Hmm.
white, and it's like impossible to get it like a modern version of that like for my new computer. I like have been searching for so long. I'm like, they don't make these anymore. Like nope, like Mac doesn't take that anymore.
Yeah,
Like it's crazy.
it is. So it's like again, like you're telling these kids too, and it's like, don't fucking do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I
This
tell
is
them no. I'm like, film this shit on your iPhone and put it on Instagram like everybody else. You know, it's like
yeah,
you don't want to start your filming career or whatever filming venture by like getting a thrift camera. Like that's like advanced at this point.
and then getting tapes for it because that was the thing.
Yeah,
I'd go on eBay, and it's like, cool. Hopefully the tapes work.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and I got to find them. And then it was like, yeah, it was like, can I find them? Then I was getting used tapes,
Yeah,
and that was crazy. Like
yeah.
going
Just
through this, and it's like some old lady doing like ballet or something. I'm like, what the fuck is on here?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
People don't realize too. People are like, oh, people ask me to do something like, oh, I want to film this like with this quality. I like that vintage quality. I'm like, all right, like what do you want to do? And then like they'll tell me their idea, and I'm like, it's got to be like worth it. Like
Yeah.
skate clips make sense, but like some other stuff, I'm like, I don't know. Like I had a friend that she wanted to do like a podcast with like VHS, and I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen. I was like, you want to upload every 6 months? Because maybe,
Yeah.
like hopefully all the equipment works.
Yeah, because that's true. Like it's just the stuff's faulty. That's even like the VX like thing. I want to get rid of it. These things are like 30 years old almost
Yeah,
now. So it's like they're all faulty. Finding parts, they're not making parts.
I know.
It's and I was just like, you know what, I'm
And it's crazy
get
how
out while I'm
quick
ahead.
it's crazy how quick it changed too. Like
Hmm.
you know, 2010 we filmed on a Panasonic DVX, and it was like normal. Like you can get support, like you can get new tapes, you can get whatever you needed, cables, whatever. And like now it's kind of like it's outdated technology, so it's like a specialized market. And I feel like all these companies are like raise the prices because nobody does this anymore.
Yeah.
Like B&H, photo. It's
Hmm.
like I bought two 8 millimeter like film cameras. Both of them don't work. Like,
Oh,
and I bought like the film, the $80, like it's crazy, yeah. And then the camera broke, so it's like now I gotta go get another camera,
man.
And then somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Yeah, I want to film like that." And I'm like, "No, you don't.
Yeah.
Trust me."
But that's what it is, and it's like, yeah, seriously, dude. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool, but you're. It's even like having a podcast, dude. Like,
yeah,
it's work. I
it's a
remember when I
lot of
started the
work.
YouTube thing too. Like, same thing. Like, my friend was like, "Be prepared. It's a second job."
Yeah,
And I was like, well, I'm used to it, which I am. Like, all right, so I don't have the brand now, so now I'm doing this. It's just filled a void. But it's like, yeah, dude. Like, there's times I'm like, I didn't skate this week. I sat home after work every day editing.
yeah.
So it's like that too. Like, you're gonna upload every.
You don't anticipate how much work it actually is.
No, it's a lot.
That starting this podcast, I like, I woke up one day, I'm like, oh, let's start a podcast. Like, had like my boys come over, we filmed it, and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
And then you
it's.
start building though, because that's like the
Mhm.
skater mentality. You're like, I gotta do this. I gotta land this trick. I gotta film this podcast.
Yeah,
So
and but it is a lot. Like just editing, listening back to it,
yeah,
checking all the equipment, making sure everything works and
everything
recorded,
works.
and yeah,
And it's money too. Like investing and stuff. Like I was just saying, like I got this nice camera. It's like I need two more different cameras now. If I want to do like double angles and stuff like that. And it's a pain, but it does make it worth it. Like the feedback and stuff that I get from I made that shitty claymation that's like in the intro.
yeah.
So I
People
made
love that though. That's
yeah,
cool.
which
It's
is
cool. Yeah,
crazy. Like I made that. That was like my first time ever trying claymation. I went to Walmart. I got like a ton of like Play-Doh. I was like, fuck it, we're gonna do a fucking claymation for the intro. Like nobody does claymation anymore. So I like made it, and I remember I posted it on my story, and like a bunch of people, like the usual friends, like supported, like, yo, this is dope. I'm like, really? I thought it was terrible. But like people that didn't even skate, that like I used to work with or whatever, were like, yo, 10 out of 10 on the claymation. Like
yeah.
nobody does claymation, and I was like, really? So
It was cool.
yeah, I figured that's just like something different. I'm working on another one, but I'll show you
It's
after.
still cool. I was gonna say like when you take this over to YouTube or wherever, like yeah, you gotta kind of keep that.
Yeah, I'm working on a new one, and I actually learned that, like, I was thinking about it, like, forming the idea, and then I watched like one YouTube video on like how somebody did it, and like it was pretty easy. Like, you just download an app on your phone, and you can take like a picture,
Oh,
like
you get,
frame
and it
by
lets you
frame.
take. Gotcha.
Yeah. The hardest part is making like the clay guys stand up.
Stand up.
You know, like especially like skating. Like, if you notice in the claymation intro, like I'm holding the guy's head, but I like cut it off so you wouldn't see me. Because I'm like, this is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, this is worse than VHS. I'm like, why do I get into crazy fucking things like this?
Yeah, it's. But you got to do it. You know.
Yeah.
It's the skateboarder in you.
We're almost at another 30.
Shit. Well, you have anything else, or do you want to?
Nah, just shout out to the sponsors. Shout out Rad. Shout out Manitow for hooking us up. Shout out to my guest, Steve, right?
Yeah.
Dead on Arrival. Dead Air Radio.
Dead Air Radio, yeah.
And
PODUS.
PODUS,
Operandi. It's
Operandi.
like a play on
Modus, yeah.
Operandi. Yeah.
PODUS, do you want to plug it? What?
Well, yeah. So, and there's 2 episodes out now. They're on YouTube. If you go to TRANSWORLD'S YouTube, they're on there. So we just put one out, I think Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday,
Yeah.
I think we just put one out talking about 4-in-1 videos. The first one is about Transworld videos.
Hell yeah.
So
Transworld, PODUS, Operandi.
yeah,
Better, right?
there we
I
go.
got that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nailed
Hell
it.
yeah.
and
I'm
then
working on that.
and then there's always Dead Air Radio.
Dead Air Radio.
That's
100%. So check it out. Steve's the legend. 89 started skating. Been in the game a long time. A million different ventures.
yeah,
Northern.
2 million.
2 million
Too
different
many,
ventures.
Too many, man.
Blessed to have you here. Thank you
Thanks for
so
having me
much.
on.
Yeah, I was like so hyped that you agreed. I was like, let me
I was
just
hyped
send
you
it.
asked. Kinda. I like
Really?
this is like I said. This is like a vacation for me.
Thank you
know?
so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No, you're
Thank
welcome.
you again. Thank you for the bearings as
Oh,
well.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna hopefully go fast.
Too fast.
So, once again, thank you guys for watching. This is a long one. I'm gonna chop it up, but I'm gonna probably move it over to YouTube because I don't like. We talked about so many great things. I like don't want to chop it. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
It was different with Theo. He's like, take that out, take that out. You know,
Yeah,
like.
we didn't get into anything. This could have gone south real fast, but it didn't. No, this
Yeah.
was good.
So thank you
Cool.
again.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool. So what was that? 3 hours?